Welcome to Worldwide Reds. Tonight we're asking the big question, has Roy Keane completely missed the point with Bruno Fernandes? Keane labelled the reaction to Bruno's assist record a circus act, but is Bruno once again being unfairly judged? Everyone's talking about it, comments, but there's one major issue, the quote at the centre of it. He's got it wrong. How are we, boys? It's Thursday. Tomorrow's Friday. One day till the weekend. How are we going?
Dealing with it the best I can in regards to Arsenal's title celebrations, but I've been dealing with it as maturely as I can. And yeah, it's been a tricky 24 hours watching everything sort of flood through on social media. But you have to take your hat off to them. Fair play. Just hope that's us sometime soon.
Yeah, very much so. It's tell you what, Tom, when I do watch, it's with any team, to be honest with you, to be fair, any team, no matter what sport. And when I see a team win the league or win a cup or whatever they win, I get really involved in the celebrations and things like that. It's not like I'm celebrating it. It's more I'm just so intrigued, like, to see how many people are there at the stadium afterwards or even while it's all happening and things like that. Is there some online celebrations going on? And I get so indulged in all that. And I saw like Declan Rice and all that. They ended up going to the stadium at 5 o'clock in the morning. And like, especially in my house, look, I've got George. George is a huge Arsenal supporter, and same with Aaron. And mate, they were into me straight away. So I had to have some things to fire back at him.
I'm getting my stick up with all my Arsenal fans around me because I believe Adam had edited a funny picture of mine when I said I really want Arsenal to bottle the league, and that particular reel has been circulating in and around with my families and my friends. So yeah, taking up the stick.
How you been, Alex? All right?
Yeah, good. Thanks. Good. Yeah. Obviously dealing with the Arsenal fallout. It hasn't been as bad as I thought. I've had a few Arsenal mates, share everything. I had a few guys who I know were there through the dark years who were celebrating, and rightfully so. I've seen some people on my socials who magically support Arsenal. I don't know where that came from, but good for them. And yeah, congratulations. I'm never going to begrudge a team for winning the title. I've reminded my Arsenal mates that, as someone who in their lifetime has seen 6 league titles, mind you, I know that winning a league takes a lot of effort. So they've got a while to get to our level, but nonetheless, enjoy it. And I think the world is relying on PSG to bring him back down to earth a little bit. So just restore a bit of normality. We've also still got Spurs relegation pending. Chelsea did their bit this morning or yesterday. So yeah, hopefully Spurs can at least get relegated to give us something to celebrate.
Yeah, definitely. Look, I mean, Spurs are still in trouble a little bit, so they've got this weekend. So there's a lot of things that are happening this weekend. All the games are usually played at the same time, aren't they? This weekend?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. So, anyways, I want to get straight into this. I actually want to, before we start. I don't know, Nick or all you boys have seen the actual footage from the from Roy Keane's quote and everything like that. So I uploaded it, whether I'm allowed to or not. I'm going to do it. It goes for a minute or so. We've got a fair few people in the chats on TikTok and Instagram and YouTube. We've got who we got in here. We've got a few people in YouTube. So just in case they haven't seen it, I really want to just show the clip. That way we can center around it and we don't get too much wrong. So it goes for a couple of minutes. So I'll put it on now.
Do we need to give him huge plaudits for what? I mean, getting level with Thierry Henry and Kevin De Bruyne on 20 assists. I mean, 20 assists, that's obviously more than 1 every 2 games. That is a massive achievement, isn't it?
What I heard in United the weekend, honestly, I was raging with it. The whole chat about his assists and players talking about assists. He got interviewed after the match, after the game, and I was watching him, and everyone was talking about his assists, and even the players were. The game was about his assists. That's the whole talk. After the game, he got interviewed, and he said in his interview, the captain of Man United, he said, "Yeah, a few times I probably should have." He said this himself. I should have shot, but I made them passes. Wow. How can your mindset of a footballer be going out to a match and be talking about some individual If it happens, he's going to get all them stats anyway. But for it to become the main point about Man United's performance the weekend, I was cringing with all of them. And all the players, when he got the assist, going off to, what about the guy who scored the goal?
Well, Roy, to be fair, what I do know is that speaking to him 3 weeks ago, he said the reason he stayed last year is because he's not completed what he wants to, and that's win trophies at United, to be fair to him. He did say
and
that.
He won't be winning trophies. Not with that mindset of the team yesterday, where they're giving up 2 goals and everyone's getting all giddy because he's equal a record for assists. It's mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling. It's a circus act. Bruno gives a pass and he missed it. What did Bruno do after he missed it? You watched it?
He went on the floor. Yeah, he went on the floor, yeah.
Lovely, isn't it?
Yeah. That was when Mbeumo missed the shot.
Yeah, lovely. Yeah. Why is he falling on the fucking floor? Excuse me.
Well, I think he was disappointed that Mbeumo missed.
For what? For who?
Well, for himself and for the team. Yeah.
Bang on. Yeah. Bang on.
Oh, I can only just take that a little bit too much. So these are the misquote is here. There were probably moments I should have passed, but I shot. Roy Keane's quote was, "This is what I." Oh, that's the wrong one. But he quoted that. What do you call it? He said he shot instead. He should have passed instead of shot, or whatever it was. He fully misquoted it. It was just ridiculous the way he went about it. So I have got the right one. I don't know why that one's come up, but anyways, yeah, it was a full misquote. Sorry about that. Where is it? Here, this one here. Here it is here. Let me get it in there. Let me put it up there. I'm pretty sure this is the one. Yeah, there it is. There were probably moments I should have passed, but I shot. Roy Keane's quote was, "There were probably moments I should have shot, but I made the pass." Yeah, it's ridiculous. He's a professional media person. To get that wrong is totally out of order. And in my opinion, he should be apologising for it. And whether he wants to apologise for it or not, the studio should be making him apologise, because something like that, and probably Bruno Fernandes doesn't care at all, but the fact that he's doing it to our team that we love and we respect this guy is completely out of order. Thoughts?
Yeah, look, I think that there's two avenues to look at it. I'm sure this will spark a long discussion, but there's 2 ways I look at it, and I think you're completely right there. He can sort of misquote him by accident. He could hear something wrong, and he could interpret Bruno's words a little bit, and he can get it wrong. That happens, or we do it sort of daily when we sort of follow the football news. But you're right. The overlap, if it's a pre-recorded show, they go back in and edit it, or sort of put a disclaimer in there, or get Roy Keane to address the comments a little bit later. And yes, they do have a responsibility because they are the most influential play behind Goldbridge, or they're in cahoots at the moment, but they're on par with the most influential voice in the Manchester United fan base. What they say sticks. And Roy Keane and Gary Neville, I think they are the most influential voices amongst the Manchester United fan base, so it does carry weight. And yeah, he should be apologising 100%, not for his opinion, not for the way he views Bruno Fernandes playing, but in terms of that quote and what Bruno Fernandes said, you're right, Roy Keane needs to apologise. Whether he will, given his relationship with Bruno Fernandes and Manchester United, I don't think he will. I think he will double down, and that'll be a bit disappointing, but that is the situation Roy Keane has found himself in the last 20 years with Manchester United. And I say that sadly because he's my favourite player of all time and always will be. And I do enjoy his punditry. I do think he is a good pundit. Sometimes he does annoy me, and one of these days is today that he is annoying me with this take. But I agree, Adam, 100%. I think it's gone beyond Roy Keane now, and the overlap in Sky Sports should address it, whether they do it themselves or get Roy Keane in front of a camera and say, look, we got this wrong. Apologies to Bruno Fernandes. I don't think that'll happen. The second thing we look at is the opinion of Roy Keane. We were discussing earlier, Roy Keane is the ultimate team player. You would say, and I would put Bruno Fernandes in a category like that as well, as a team player, but there is no doubt there is a individual element to Bruno Fernandes' game and the topic we're discussing, his assists. But Roy Keane was the ultimate team player. You look at Juventus, for example, in '99. I can see Roy Keane's view. The game was about Bruno. Now, this is not Bruno's fault. Far from Bruno's fault. He's in this position because of how brilliant he has been. But the game was about Bruno. It's all we were discussing during the match. It's all the fans are talking about. It's all the commentators are talking about. That's not Bruno's fault. That's just the situation the match found itself in. But his just angle of approaching the situation and blaming Bruno Fernandes for that was just poor. Now he doesn't like him. So we have players we like, we have players we don't like. But as said, with Roy Keane's voice comes responsibility. He's such a powerful voice. He does have a responsibility, and I feel he's lacking in regards to that. And he's just been disappointed because I do think at its core, what he is saying, I somewhat agreed with. There was times when Bruno Fernandes ran, forget the quote, but there's times where we're all sitting there watching, he should be passing here or he should be shooting there, and Bruno Fernandes is in two minds. It was playing on his mind, and that is natural. I think if it was a Champions League final, there's no issue. But it was a dead rubber. It was a nothing game. It kind of did feel a bit of a testimonial. Can we get Bruno Fernandes an assist? It just had a weird feeling. So I can see Roy Keane's frustration that a Manchester United captain who showed the correct behaviours as a Manchester United captain, the way he went about it, this was far from that. And I'm not blaming Bruno Fernandes for that, but this was far from a Roy Keane's captain performance. This felt like a Bruno Fernandes over Manchester United. So I can see Roy Keane's view on it. I just think in regards to the way he's gone about his sort of sharing his opinion, it's just, it comes across bitter because he doesn't like Manchester United and Sir Alex Ferguson. And I just think, and obviously it sells, Sky Sports are in his ear, say, can you say something controversial? It'll be good for us. So obviously there is an element of that, and he is working, he's doing a job, but he needs to be able to differentiate his current relationship with the club and his responsibility as a pundit and a former player.
I can see, look, Roy Keane comes out and everyone says he's the greatest captain that Manchester United's ever seen. And I tend to agree at times. But I could take arbor with Roy Keane, and we all could too. As a captain, times, he decided to take the game upon himself at times and go and get sent off and shit like that for just getting revenge on players and stuff like that. Now, is that a good captain? To me, that's not a good captain. He's put himself before the team. So him coming out making statements like Bruno Fernandes isn't a good captain. Bruno Fernandes is always, half the time making the game about himself. For fuck's sake, he used to do it himself. The amount of times we used to watch games and a couple of our young fellas might get picked on like Gary Neville or something like that, or he wanted to get revenge on Haaland's old man and stuff like that. You left the fucking team stranded plenty of times getting sent off. You know what I mean? So it's a fucking double standard at times. He can't go around. Dean's made a great point here. He's not a Manchester United supporter. But when he puts himself out there as United's captain and says Bruno Fernandes doesn't put the team first, he done the same thing at times through his career. And I won't sit there and fucking suck up to the guy when he did the same thing. How come it's okay for him to go and get sent off against players where he didn't need to, and all of a sudden it's Roy Keane sticking up for players, but Bruno Fernandes decides to do, he would never do that, Bruno Fernandes. You know what I mean? It's just fucking double standards.
I think with that, and I'll get the other boys to sort of jump in, I won't sort of hog the mic, but I think what has crept in, which I've noticed, and I know you'd only ask them, you only know deep down what they are thinking, they're the only ones who can answer. But you look at Arsenal's trophy drought, it's come to an end 22 years. We're creeping up on that, and it's 13, 14 years since we've last won a Premier League title. With this trophy drought, or Premier League trophy drought, I can get the sense that, not in a bad way, but the ego of our successful players, whether it be Gary Neville, whether it be Paul Scholes or Roy Keane, our legends and how good they were, I think year by year, their ego is probably boosted in regards to we were the last players to do it, that no one can do it since. And I think they're getting a little bit of sort of, not in a bad way, but their ego. And I just think they're developing a little bit of a disdain towards the club because they're enjoying everyone looking back at how good they were and how successful they were, and no one's able to replicate that. They have a natural dislike of, they don't want the current players to win because it's going to take a little bit of their shine off, and someone else will be able to take the plaudits. At the moment, the only Manchester United players who get any plaudits or any love from our fan base are the former players. We don't like the current players. Now, obviously, at the moment, we love Bruno Fernandes and Kobe Mainoo, but in the last 10 years, there's been a love-hate relationship with our current players. We only talk good things about the past players. And I think there is a natural ego boost for our former players. They like that. And if this current group of players win, it's going to take a little bit of shine off the former players. We're going to fall in love with these new players. And I do think that is, sort of testing that sort of current relationship. But yeah, you're right in everything you said there, Adam. It's a point I didn't sort of consider in regards to the double standards. And look, Roy Keane, as said, is my favourite player of all time. And I do agree he's our greatest captain. But every player has pros and they've also got cons. Roy Keane had a lot of them.
That's yeah. Alex?
No, I'll definitely agree with you guys. I think the one thing that kind of maybe irks me with Roy Keane is that, and look, I love Roy Keane. Obviously, I was able to see the last couple of years of his captaincy at United, and he was built up to me as this god of a player and everything. And I love his punditry. I like that he just says what he says, but he sometimes can become a caricature of himself as the grumpy old man, stuck in his ways. Back in my day, like he just become the caricature. And I think this punditry, or this example of his punditry, kind of exemplifies that. He's just kind of being grumpy and miserable for the sake of it. And I guess one thing as well, like he's harsh on Bruno, which I get he has those, infamously high standards, but there's a lot of players that you can pick on. I don't know why Bruno Fernandes, who shows the traits that we like in United players, he's creative, he's adventurous, he's a risk taker, he runs, he works hard, he gives a shit, and yet we're gonna target him. Like I remember Roy Keane, he got really angry. This is like pre-Bruno. He got really angry at Pogba on a certain play where Pogba just didn't track back. He jogged back and he blasted Pogba. And he was always on Pogba's ass because he's like, you cost a lot of money, paying you a lot of wages, you're lazy, you don't run, you turn up, whenever you feel like it. But Bruno's is the polar opposite of that. Bruno, we know, yes, he can be petulant. Yes, he whines. Roy Keane was, the epitome of a whiner. So, there's that. But Bruno runs his socks off. He runs everywhere. He works hard. He's our best and most creative player. He's our talisman. Where would we be without him? Is always what everyone's saying. So I don't understand what Roy Keane wants. Does he want players who are going to work hard or not work hard? Like it just doesn't make sense. And as well, like at the start of the pod, obviously, Tom made a good point about how there's a lot of influential United voices who are very much down on the club, like Neville, like Keane, and all that. And we were talking about the start of the pod, Arsenal celebrations. The one thing that struck me with Arsenal throughout the last couple of years, not just their patience with their project, but you look at who they have in the media. You look at guys like Ian Wright and Thierry Henry, for example, and they're just so positive and loving and supportive of players. So I think one thing, it doesn't help United. Not this is the biggest issue, but it doesn't help that half the media is ex-United from the golden year. Golden year is just whining and moaning and constantly comparing their era to this current era. But that is going to just weigh down on the team. It's just going to eventually get in your head when you have so many players whom you would want to look up to and idolize and just talk down on you rather than be constructive. Whereas you look at someone like Ian Wright, the guy's a bundle of roses. He's just so just kind and patient and really just has a good relationship with the Arsenal players. And again, I'm not saying it's the be all end all. It's not what won Arsenal the title, but you probably can't deny that it does help where your players in the media are just so nice.
Alex. I think you're underestimating your point there in regards to how important it is. And again, you say it's not the be all and end all. I think it's a hell of a lot closer, and maybe it's just coincidence things falling into line. But you look at the introduction of, I don't know when social media came in, sort of thing. But let's say post Fergie, post our last title, when you look at this last sort of 13, 14 years, and sort of the influx of social media, you look at every team who's been successful, and their social media presence, whether that be the pundits and your Gary Neville's, your Roy Keane's, or your Jamie Carragher's, or our social media things, whether it be Full-Time Devils or United Stand. You look at Arsenal Fan TV. Now, they were notorious in terms of the way they behaved and the way they went about their business. We saw what happened on the pitch. Now, they had a change in regards to, they obviously developed a new strategy, that a name change, and they sort of went into cahoots a little bit with the club, and they aligned themselves with the club. Now, their views and their channel has gone obviously downhill, but no one tunes in because we want the rants, we want all that drama. But they definitely had a change in narrative and a change in approach over the last 5 years. Look what they've done the last 5 years. It's been nothing but positivity. You look when Liverpool won titles. Can you name okay, Jamie Carragher has an opinion on Salah, but overall, there's no real. Graham Souness loves Liverpool. Kenny Dalglish loves Liverpool. They're all in there. Is there a big Liverpool fan channel that hates the club or bags the club? Not really. Do we know a City fan or an ex-City player in the press who bags the club? Not really. Is there an ex-Chelsea player out there when Chelsea won 1 or 2 leagues over the last 10 years?
Imagine Chelsea now with how bad they are. Imagine last couple of years, Lampard and Terry just constantly mouthing off Enzo Fernandez. And as well, one last thing I wanted to mention, this is where Roy Keane becomes a caricature and can be quite hypocritical, is during his career, especially his second stint with United when Ronaldo came back. Roy Keane was always his most ardent defender. And I understand why, because Ronaldo's got those high standards hardworking, determined, all that sort of stuff. But as much as I idolize Ronaldo, we know Ronaldo is very much, yes, he's a winner, but he's very much me. He's got that about him. So for Roy Keane to be the most ardent defender of Ronaldo, who doesn't say a bad word about him, to then complain about Bruno Fernandes making one, as you said, dead rubber game just about him. And it wasn't, Bruno didn't make it about himself. The fan base did, the media did, because we're all talking up the record. Again, I just don't understand what Roy Keane's getting at, because you can't just praise Ronaldo, who we know is very much me, I want to get the goals. Ruud van Nistelrooy too, who Roy Keane played with, and I'm sure has a lot of praise for. Ruud van Nistelrooy often would say, I'm checking Henri's goals because I want to make sure that I got more than him. I know we're winning, but I want to get the goals. You've played with these players. You respect these players that you played with, who we know care about their goal records, but you're picking on Bruno for the one case out of a million where he's actually, I wouldn't even say he's cared about his assists as well, because like Adam, you and I watched the game. I'm sure you boys watched the game too. I thought Bruno played his, maybe aside from like one or two instances, I thought Bruno played his normal game. Yes, it was chaotic, it was a bit all over the place, but that's Bruno. I thought he just played his typical game.
I'll tell you what, just my last point. Sorry, Adam, just my last point. Just on that, I think it's going to get a hell of a lot worse with Roy Keane, because you mentioned, Alex, there, his relationship with Ronaldo, had a great relationship with Ronaldo, had a great relationship with Ruud van Nistelrooy. I talked about ego in these current players, and it's a natural thing when a player leaves and another player comes in. Roy Keane and Carrick, there's no disputing that there's a little bit of tension there. Roy Keane's last 3 years at Manchester United, we didn't win a Premier League title. He was replaced with Michael Carrick, 16 shirt, central midfield. Michael Carrick came in. We won 3 titles on the bounce. There is a tension there. There's a professional tension.
Roy Keane left in horrible, Roy Keane left in horrible circumstances to which we don't know the truth. And sadly, he still hasn't buried the hatchet with Sir Alex.
Yeah.
So there's that too.
But I just think in regards to this treatment, which Michael Carrick might get after a couple of losses next season.
Yeah. I'm just going to get onto some of these. I'll get onto these comments, and then Nick can have the floor. I'll go from the top here, and we'll go through them. KFC Chan, it's just bitter Keane. He's looking for a reason to disman Man United, and certainly Bruno. Dino, not many United fans like Neville these days. Either see what he has built next to Old Nag's Head and destroyed the Sir Ralph Abercrombie, both proper red pubs. Yeah, that's not good. Keno is no Brian Robson. This is Chris Griffiths. Keno is no Brian Robson. Captain Marvel has been consistent champion for MUFC. Definitely, mate. I agree totally. Dino, you don't hear Rio and Patrice moaning. We've got a few more in here, so just be a bit patient. Chris has come in. It's similar to Alan Hansen in the 80s and 90s, a player from dominant Liverpool side that criticised United all the time. And Chris is in here written in, hated, adored, never ignored. I always love that one. So, Nick, what are your thoughts on this, mate? We've sort of taken over the pod and left you a little bit behind. But I know you're a very passionate Manchester United supporter, and you do have a lot to say about this. So take the floor, Nick. Nick? What's going on? He's muted himself. Nick, hello?
I think he's frozen.
What's happening? Is he frozen? Yeah, I think he's frozen.
He looks frozen. He's not moving.
He's not moving. No, it's like
Bruno
speed
Fernandes,
to move.
Bloody Bruno again.
And I was just going to say, like on that point that you were talking about. Oh, wait a second, he just blinked. I think he just blinked. Nick, let me just message you. Nick, take the floor. It's all yours. You just froze.
Sorry, there was some disturbance with the internet. Yep. All right.
Take the floor, son.
No, I agree with most of the points that Tom has placed, and even Alex has really good points regarding how Arsenal legends support their team members and the current players. But to be honest, Bruno has been very consistent. I don't think he deserves the hate that he's getting right now from the legends. Especially, I've seen Roy Keane being so much aggressive with Bruno's attitude. So that comes up with his playing style, being very clumsy in the game, not being composed during the times when the refereeing is not not in the favor. But irrespective of everything, Bruno has been like he has been our talisman. He has been the best player that we have already signed in post Ferguson era, and the guy works for the team. Everyone can evidently see that. And if the players are making a point to make sure that he receives that individual accolade, I don't see any harm in that. As Gary Neville also said, that the game didn't have anything to lose. We already sealed the third position. We have got the Champions League. Even for that matter, Nottingham Forest have they have been in the they will be playing the Premier League in the next season. I still don't understand all these legends, especially Gary Neville and Roy Keane. I completely know for the fact that Tom mentioned they're getting paid for it. That's a paid criticism that they have to talk, but their voice does impact the entire environment. Either we have to block everything. A club should come up with some sort of actions that will limit these legend players, or do not involve, do not say that you being a United captain, this should be the attitude. Being the ex-United player, that should be the way of going ahead. Don't do that. I completely hate the fact that Roy Keane, being the most loved player and loved captain for all the United fans, he is losing the respect. And it will certainly impact his image moving forward, that he will be remembered not as a legend, because Adam, the point that you mentioned, he was never a good captain. He got sent off for his personal vendetta. Even for that matter, he never had a good attitude against Sir Alex Ferguson as well during the time. He left United on a bitter note. So him talking about being a good captain, like, and then working for the team's goals, doesn't add up. I completely hate to see Roy Keane even uttering a single word at the point. I do not. At this point, if you ask me, I do not even respect him. You being the most vocal, along with Gary Neville, one has to understand that your point does make a significant impact on the club's relationship, the way the club would be going ahead. People follow them on the social media, and the social media has been a major and vital component in modern era football. Stop talking bullshit about your current players. Just limit yourself. Okay, if you have if you have your opinion in terms of the particular game, fair enough. I can understand. Even I was very vocal about Bruno. I was the one who said Bruno should be transferred to Saudi Arabia and then get some 120 million. But that lad has been proving what this club meant for him. He stayed back in this club, proved his worth, played as number 6, did whatever the things the previous manager and the current manager has been telling, and then you still blame him. No, I completely disagree on this. And I hate to see that Keane has been very vocal about it.
Yeah, definitely, Nick. Look, it's crazy that I wanted to, like Alex was talking about, like the pundits from Arsenal and stuff. They hardly ever, mate. David Kunde, I think it's David Kunde from Talk Sport. He's a ex-Chelsea player, mate. I listen to them, and mate, no matter how shit Chelsea's going, he refuses to bag the shit out of them. It's okay. Even his offsider, like the Tottenham supporter, they will talk about how bad they're playing, but individual players, they never ever rip on them hard at all. Yet our players just tend to do it.
And Adam, this has been since long time. Post, I believe it started with Moyes coming as a manager. Even that time as well, the legends didn't agree to that decision. I completely understand why they had to do it. Even with Pogba as well. See, Pogba received his share of his share of hatred from United fans as well as from football. But when Pogba was there in the team, and then the link up that he had with Bruno and Zlatan and the rest of the teammates, yet Roy Keane used to bash him left, right, and center. I understand the point that he had. The price tag that he comes up with, he doesn't justify, but can you see the price tag that Declan Rice has had on him since last 2 years? And then right now he proved it. You know what happens with United is we are not patient with the management. We are not patient with our manager. And the first thing that as a United fan, I hate to say that we do not trust the process. I believe it also comes back to the point where we didn't back Ruben Amorim. I understand the reason why we didn't back him. But Ruben, when he departed, we were just 4 points behind top 4. We were already in number 6. So trusting the process is something that these legends, our fan base, do pressurize our management, and because of that, they get that we always stuck in the loop. We'll back the manager, we'll back the player. We don't want we won't win the trophy in that season, and again the cycle happens. We need to limit this. The only reason why Arsenal succeeded because they trust the process. I was the one who always said that Arteta wouldn't get succeeded. Ideally, he wouldn't have succeeded with Premier League because the way that they played this season, they're not the worthy Premier League team to win that trophy. But irrespective of the decisions, the VAR playing along, the PGMOL coming into the picture, and how they played, they won the trophy. Debate is over. This is what I need United fans and legends to come up on pod, on social media. At least back the team. At least back your individual players. You can talk about the game. Game criticism, keep it aside. But when you're targeting one single player and who has been the most influential player, the entire system falls down. The entire player system goes down. I don't understand the fact that Roy Keane, why he has to do it again and again and again. It has literally getting in the nerves. I believe Bruno came in the public after winning that the Player of the Season trophy, and then he said he always worked for the team. It was never his personal agenda to win that 20 league Premier to win that individual accolade. He never thought about it. Even in that game, if you see, I agree to the point where Alex said everybody worked for Bruno's individual achievement. I don't see I don't see any problem in that. Why wouldn't one see? That is the team effort, right? Every member is putting their efforts to see that their captain is getting that the praise that he deserves since long time. So what's the big deal in it? Why the legends has to come out and say every negative thing for that? And then you're twisting the words.
The thing that gets me about it, Nick, too, is they always talk about working as a team and everything like that, and whether this team can what's the dressing room like and everything like that. Because when managers lose the dressing room, that's the first thing Manchester United fans talk about. So we've actually got a team that's working for their captain, and they're trying to help him achieve awards and individual awards and things like that, and all of a sudden, sorry.
So I said I'd rather them like each other, like than previously.
There's nothing, in my opinion.
Go back and watch the Europa League final. They all wanted to kill each other. It was like it just looked toxic, especially
Bruno
at the
was the one who cried his ass out when they lost against Tottenham. Have you seen? He was the first player who was crying like a baby. That clearly shows his exactly, and that clearly shows his dedication towards the club. So if the players are dedicated towards the captain and the captain is dedicated towards the club, it significantly has a chain reaction that they are literally working towards the club glory.
And there's and as well, like Roy Keane as well. He nitpicked on when Bruno fell over when Mbeumo missed that chance, and it's like, oh, it's because of Bruno's record. But it's like, not necessarily. He also fell on his face because Mbeumo missed a sitter. Like, Adam, we watched it together. We had the same reaction when Mbeumo
we probably had a worse reaction.
I'm pretty sure Bruno who laid on a platter and Mbeumo had already been missing chances for 6 skies there. I would have been falling on my face too, not just because I might be on the precipice of a record, but also because mate, I want to win a game here. I'll just give it to you on a platter, and you're sending it into the Stretford end. What are you doing?
I think with Roy Keane, just on that point, Alex, in regards to the feeling when Bruno Fernandes sort of he went to the floor, and you can throw that into his petulant sort of that sort of category. And I can see, this is not me defending Roy Keane, but I do think the debate does need a little bit of balance, and just his age and his culture and the way he's brought up. He's one of these people, if you could just imagine Roy Keane sitting there scrolling through Twitter or social media thinking, hang on, what's this? He'd be looking at an AI video thinking, is that real or not real? And sort of would know, just in terms of just him as a person and his age. So I think he buys in or would fall victim to social media narratives and sort of fake news, so to say, and fall victim of that. And all this noise, as I said, all the noise around the Bruno Fernandes assists record, nothing to do with Bruno. It was Sky Sports. It was the overlap. It was social media. And to single out Bruno Fernandes as the issue is wrong. But however, with that information which is in his head, and then he does see. Well, my initial reaction when Bruno Fernandes went down was the same as Roy Keane. He's gone down. Now, again, you're right in regards to the many factors, and he's disappointed that Mbeumo missed the chance. My first thing, because I was thinking assists as well. Oh, he didn't get that assist. That's disappointing for Bruno Fernandes. So I can see Roy Keane's view. However, I always go back to the side of things now where Roy Keane does he have a responsibility? I don't know. If he doesn't care for Manchester United, there's no skin off his back. I believe he should have a responsibility and a care. Maybe he doesn't. And maybe that can change our sort of opinion, the way we view his words. But I do believe he should, or I'd hope he has the desire to have a responsibility. And I think he's just fallen short, because I do think at his core, I do think there is a lot of truth behind what Roy Keane says. The way he goes about it, in my opinion, for the benefit of Manchester United, couldn't be more wrong. And that's very disappointing.
But Tom,
I've got a couple.
Old school.
Nick, let me just get to a couple of comments and then you can talk. I've got trusting the process is very essential. I blame both parties, i.e. the board, managers and fan base and legends, because after they back the manager in a few transfers, then refuse to back him all the way. Yeah. That's just happened over the last few years, or been happening for 10 years. But this is the big one I want to get to. Gary Dobson, 6294. Roy was right. The main focus has been winning trophies. Individual trophies have become secondary from winning the league to chasing assist record. Mate, that quote right there, I'm 54 years old, and that's my head right now. That quote right there. But in the younger generation, and as an older head for myself, those individual awards have become more prominent, more and more and more. And whether I agree with them or not, it's part of the game now. These individual awards, stats are part of the game. They're a huge part of the game. When they have their team talks during the week, stats are all over the place. I've been in rooms where in MPL rooms where there's stats, even in those levels, there's stats everywhere. You've done this, you've done that. Mate, I talk to the keepers and everything like that. Stats are part of the game. Individual awards are part of the modern game. Whether it's right or wrong, whether the team's fighting for an individual, or we have spoken about this on this podcast several times with Jordan. Jordan has spoken about individuals playing for individual awards on a pitch. Whether it's right or wrong, and I think this is where Tom's saying he agrees with Roy Keane, I think it's wrong because I'm from a different era. But the modern fan accepts it down to a T.
It's the hypocrisy of Roy Keane and those relationships, because maybe it's different, or a visual difference of the assist versus the goal. As Alex said, Roy Keane did nothing but defend Cristiano Ronaldo, the most selfish, sought after looking at individual records and the goals. However, goals win games for the team. Okay, it's a good goal for Cristiano Ronaldo, but that goal also counts for the team. Certainly Bruno Fernandes come out the same thing. So again, I see Roy Keane. I just think he's letting himself down as a Manchester United.
Can I nitpick the comment?
You're not scoring goals either.
Well, can I nitpick that comment specifically that you pulled
Go
up? It's just
for it,
more so
man.
not to sound harsh or anything, but it's just more like I just kind of reject the premise of the comment only because we weren't. The comment almost implies that we're focusing on individual stuff for the whole season, but we weren't. It was just one game where Bruno happened to be on the cusp of a record. But Bruno was doing his thing. Like Bruno has been playing the exact same style that he's been playing this whole time. It just so happens that he's got a couple of better finishers in front of him that are able to bag the assists. But at least maybe not under Amram because he's playing in the wrong position, which he sacrificed for the team. So there's also that he's demonstrated that he can sacrifice for the team and play freaking number 6 when he's not number 6. But under Carrick, he's playing the exact same way. You can tell the style's very reminiscent of Ollie's style, which is where Bruno was getting a lot of big numbers, and Bruno just got those numbers just by virtue of the ball's going to go to him a lot, he's going to have runners. He's going to have players who can have better finishes now and are going to make better runs. And he's going to play the passes. So he doesn't get those assists because he's gone for the assist record. He's getting them because he just gets them. And like the one time we half focused on the record. When I say we, I mean the fans and the media. Again, like Tom said, it's not Bruno's fault that there was the focus on the record. It was just it just so happened that like him being one assist off the record, going into the game on Sunday, that was not by, when I say not by choice, it wasn't that Bruno forced it. It just happened to be the case. He wasn't just purely playing for that for the whole year.
There has not been a single season since Bruno's arrival that he has not netted.
Oh, we've lost him again.
Well, I was just going to say about lost my train of thought. I was going to say about like that quote just before. Say Michael Carrick comes around and says this weekend, I'm not playing Bruno Fernandes. I'm not playing Bruno Fernandes. What would be the first thing Man United supporters would be saying? Bruno Fernandes should be playing because he's got an assist record to beat. Yeah. That'd be the first. So, and Duno's made the perfect quote here. It's not like we're winning the league. It's not like we're winning the league. So we might as well have some enjoyment out of the whole thing. You know what I mean? Like, that's a prime example. If Carrick goes, he's not playing.
That added to it because it was and that's why I had no issue if I shared Roy Keane's views, that I was thinking, hang on, why are we just getting the ball to Bruno Fernandes in a crossing position? Why can't we just play our normal game? If it was a going for the title or if we're fighting relegation with Spurs, it was a dead rubber. It meant nothing. It had a testimonial feel. And I just think that is where there was no issue. I'm sure when Roy Keane was playing, there was times where Ruud van Nistelrooy's going with Henry, we'll try and get him a goal, or hang on, this player needs a penalty to sort of boost his confidence. He's not our normal penalty taker, but we'll see if we can get him a goal. Yeah, everyone fights a little bit harder when a goalkeeper's chasing a golden glove and a clean sheet record. Everyone sort of tightens up a little bit. And but it's just a shame. And it's a shame from the moment he left the club and the relationship with Fergie, that sort of still haunts me. It's like your parents fighting when Sir Alex and Roy Keane fell out. I absolutely hate it. And it's just a part of life and it's a thing now. But it's just a shame because there is so much good that Roy Keane did on the pitch and off the pitch for Manchester United. But I just feel, and I say this as he's my favourite player, he just lets himself down and he just doesn't help the club where he's in a position where he can help the club, which we've seen now. Alex, you mentioned before, all these players in terms of, you look at Arsenal have kicked on in the last 5 years and it's just, I wouldn't say all down to, but a shift in the media. It changes people's perception and it changes the noise because there's no noise around a club like Manchester United. No noise. And there's people who create it, and it's Roy Keane, it's Gary Neville, it's Mark Goldbridge. These are the people who create the noise, and here we're going to discuss it, and that just adds weight, unnecessary. The shirt's heavy enough. There's enough pressure for Manchester United players. Us piling the pressure on it just doesn't help.
Nick,
and let's celebrate something.
You were about to say something.
Yeah, I was actually adding to the point where Alex said that regarding the Bruno's contribution in that particular.
Oh no! I think what he was trying to say was like how there hasn't been like a season where Bruno hasn't like netted like a number of assists, and it's because everything just goes through him. So that's where like just again for me, I just thought he played his normal game on Sunday and just happened to just get the assist that he needed, and has happened to be on 19 assists going into the game because he just played his normal style. It just happened that he got some better finishes. And look, we all know there's enough compilations where he would have got the record beforehand anyway because we've missed plenty of chances throughout the season too. And on the day as well, we missed about 50 billion chances and Mbeumo could have had 5 goals by half time. So, yeah, I thought it was a bit of a nothing burger for me. And one thing as well, with Keane, the crux of his argument was on a misquote. Kept saying, this quote proves that Bruno wasn't blah, but like you got the quote wrong. And you can actually go back and watch the game and look at the correct quote that Bruno said, and you realize, there's plenty of moments that I can think of in my head now. There was one when he was on the counter, he had, I think, Cunha one way, Ahmad the other way, and he just took a pot shot. He had one where again had Ahmad here, and rather than just slide it through the simple pass, Ahmad here, take it, go, give me an assist. He did a ball roll and tried to do something fancy and tricky. Someone taking pot shots or doing tricky skill moves on the edge of the box when you got a player to the right of you. That's not someone who's trying to farm an assist. Doesn't play like that.
Can you see though, whether it be answer these, Alex or Adam yourself? Can you see though Roy Keane's view, and again in regards to him being a captain and him sort of having evidence of what worked and what proved to be successful at Manchester United? We talk about these fine margins and little things matter in terms of the big picture. There is no doubt, and I love Bruno Fernandes, and I had no issue with what Bruno Fernandes was doing. I have no issue with the noise around the assist record. I have no issue with the players trying to sort of set Bruno Fernandes up for assists. I had no issue with what I was watching. However, Bruno Fernandes doesn't know yet. Hopefully he does. He doesn't know how to lead Manchester United to a title. Roy Keane does. And sometimes these little things, and I can just see in Roy Keane's mind, maybe he knows, maybe he's got a deep down knowledge. If that ever even somewhat creeps into your game. Now, we can talk about it being hypocritical and maybe Roy Keane doing it to an extent to some stage, or players in his team. Obviously, there's going to be a hypocritical aspect to it. But maybe there is a part where Roy Keane is right saying, even if it crept in a dead rubber, that's too much. It shouldn't have never have crept in. And it just, I had no issue with it, but it did creep in. It was a part of the game. The game did change because of we're trying to get that Bruno assist. And I just think, again, that's not a defensive Roy Keane, and I'm on Bruno Fernandes' side of this, but I just think there's an element of truth in there with what Roy Keane's saying.
I get that in terms of because I definitely can see in Keane's punditry, he still has that care for United because it's like, this is the club that I led for so many years and won trophies with, and again he speaks from that perspective. I guess maybe where, like you said, obviously the way he went about it was wrong, but then I suppose what he could do instead, if he really feels this way about it, which I still think it's a bit misguided, but if he feels that way, that's fine. I'm not going to tell him how to feel. He's Roy Keane, I'm not. But then that's where maybe you, rather than just rant on a podcast, and misquote everything, maybe that's where Roy Keane should say, okay, you know what? Yeah, I'm the former captain of this club. I'm going to call out Bruno and say, hey, you're a fantastic player. I think you've got low potential as a captain. I'm going to put my arm around you and I'm going to show you the way. Like, just show that guidance, because yes, Roy Keane, leader, would, he would go to war for his team. Players would kick a brick wall for him. All that. But then leadership isn't, if he's still with that same Roy Keane, leadership isn't whinging on a podcast or whinging on Sky Sports Sunday show or whatever. Call up Bruno Fernandes, talk to the players and, show them the way. Show them how to win as United captain. Show them how to win as United players. Yeah, but and put your arms around them like what ain't right.
Roy Keane has been the biggest hypocrite. I completely disagree to the point where Tom said that, okay, he has that element where winning the league is something he knows it and Bruno doesn't because he hasn't won the league. I believe Martin Odegaard has not won the league before. It was the first time that he won this year.
Well, no, 100%. But Bruno Fernandes obviously has that.
Yeah,
but in regards to
Tom,
the
tell
evidence
me one
in front,
thing. Would Keane survive in today's football culture with his attitude?
No, that's not. Yeah, it doesn't take anything away from.
Does it make any sense? Like 20 years back, what was the element that actually made him the better manager, a better captain? Would the same element be agreeable in this particular football culture? I don't think so.
But also in that, I still remember in the show, he said in that show about our manager, if our front three never scored like 30 to 8, well, I think he said 80 goals a season. But we simply don't have that in the Manchester United team now. He's got to remember the players that he was playing with. Yeah, freaking hell, man. He had Cristiano Ronaldo scoring 40 goals. He had Ruud van Nistelrooy scoring 40 goals. I think he was gone. Cole York. Your backs, mate, he's Paul Scholes. He had players scoring for fun in his teams. And it's easy to manage. You can be a leader and everyone go, yep, Roy Keane's the fucking greatest captain since sliced bread. But when you've got players around you that can score goals at any time of the day, and then you're filtering into a system now where you're lucky to get a player that can score 10 goals. Well, for the first time in Premier League history, The three forwards on debut have scored 10 or more goals. That's in Premier League history. But we don't go seeing them quote that. You look at Arsenal. Their third highest goal scorer was the own goal this year. Mate, unless you're Erling Haaland, you're not scoring more than 20 goals, are you? 20, 30 goals. Like, it's mind-blowing. And I'll stand here. I do get shit sometimes with some of the things I see. But it's just my old head. But my old head is now coming around to the way the new game has evolved.
Yep.
It's crazy to think these guys can't wrap their head around that.
But again, why not just put your arm around the players and show the club the way? Like, just if you're gonna,
they're not going to do that. They're not going to do
that.
Exactly.
But you know what I mean.
I don't expect them to do that.
It then comes. Yeah, it's fair enough. But then, it becomes obnoxious when you're just going to whine and not at least offer a bit of constructive help in that sort of way. Again, he doesn't have to go and spend 5 days a week at the club. But again, like I mentioned earlier, the attitude of someone like an Ian Wright, where you just you're not kicking them all the time when they're down. I think it's fair. I think it's fair enough.
Alex, the perfect example was this week when Casemiro went to Rio Ferdinand for the interview. He said, "You're the best man for the job." A perfect example. He didn't go to Gary Neville or Roy Keane for the interview, did he? He didn't go there. He went straight to Rio Ferdinand because Rio Ferdinand supports the team and wants to see him do better. He even hangs around the club. And
when you talk about the leadership, it is not only the leadership that matters when you are playing for the club. It also has a good weightage if you are not playing for that club. If you're a legend, the weightage is more. I believe in that sense, I would say Rio Ferdinand is much more better a leader than Roy Keane, because he has been a legend who won trophies under his belt, and yet as a legend, he has been much more positive breeze that I can see with his podcast, getting the players in and then talking a real good sense about how the football is and what should be done. So agreeing to Adam's point where Casemiro didn't went in the overlap, but he went to 5, which is Rio's media. And I completely agree to the point where you're mentioning that, hugging around, and then that doesn't apply with Roy Keane. When you're expecting Roy Keane to do that, he has never done it when he was a player wearing that United jersey and as a captain as well. I don't see that is happening right now, because right now when Tom says that the media has evolved in such a way that the negative criticism gets more and more viewership, and then that's how they get money. If he's running behind the money, that is something we should be expecting from Roy Keane and Gary Neville all day, all night.
We scream for honesty. Sorry, I'm just clear. We scream for honesty from these pundits, and sometimes when we get it, and again, I don't want this to sound like a defense of Roy Keane, but then when we get someone's honest opinion, even though sometimes it might be dialed up to level 10, hang on, you should be saying that. You need to tone it down. You need to make sure, have your opinion, but have it this way. So suddenly we're hypocritical as fans, saying we want the honest opinion, but can you please filter it so it suits us? But so I think when you go back, Nick will discuss in there in regards to a different era, Roy Keane's era and how he played the game, and now what a leader looks like in a Bruno Fernandes or a Martin Odegaard. You just go into Roy Keane's head. Now, Roy Keane's head is wrong because he needs to evolve and he needs to look at what the demands of the modern game is. But if you put Bruno Fernandes in a midfield next to Roy Keane, would Roy Keane like Bruno Fernandes? No, he'd hate him. So it's just one of those players where Roy Keane should adapt.
Tell me one thing. Why, if Bruno Fernandes is playing besides Roy Keane, give me one solid example. What is something that would make him the bad player on the field?
No. Quality-wise, Bruno Fernandes can get into
exactly.
That
so there's no point of.
I'm talking about in regards to Bruno Fernandes has a 10-meter pass there, but he goes for a 60-yard shot and loses the ball. If Roy Keane hated that. Roy Keane hated risk-taking. It's just his style of play. It's just it's not a positive or a con. It's just the way Roy Keane viewed the game.
In his era, Cristiano Ronaldo did the same. I remember the game that Roy Keane was there, and I think not under Roy Keane, but I feel Cristiano Ronaldo playing against Arsenal, he used to do the same thing, and he never criticized Cristiano Ronaldo for doing that. He used to
Yeah,
lose
but he
ball.
wasn't a
I
pundit
believe in the
then,
first
was he?
season as well. Huh? Yeah, but
He wasn't a pundit
but
then
then he
either.
comes up in the media and supports Ronaldo for his incredible attitude, the work rate that he delivers.
Yeah,
and
but
the way
everyone
he
does that,
delivers.
Nick.
They
But
kicked
Everyone
that's
does that.
completely hypocritical, right?
Roy Keane kicked lumps out of Cristiano Ronaldo at training.
Yeah.
They got that Cristiano Ronaldo, that risk taking, that flair, that petulance. They got it out pretty quick. They got it out very quick. And
Mate, that was in the first 2 seasons they got it out, mate. The first, Tom knows, the first season that Cristiano Ronaldo was at Manchester United, mate, I used to rip that bloke so hard, and for probably season and a half, I used to rip. And same with the Manchester United fans. They used to think, what the hell have they got? So, but I'm going to get to, listen, guys, I do read every one of your messages. Like there are a lot of messages here, so I'm just going to pick a few here. And we do love a chat, and we do not look, we don't bring them up all the time. So I apologize. I'm going to go Harding. Where is it? Show here. The record should have been broken long time in the season. If the guys were putting it at the back of the net, because some were fluffing with their lines. Yeah, look, we were saying that before. Down to Chris Scriver, which Chris, you've made some great points through here, which I'll get to a couple of yours. Keane was not just a snarling enforcer; he was an all-round player. Don't forget that. Yeah, all-round player. Yeah, definitely. Declan Rice getting player of the season for taking corners. Game's gone. There are a lot of comments here. Here, any Man United fans knew Keane. Look, I'm going to KFC chant. Can we not say Man U in this chat? Can we say Man United, please? Any Man United fans knew Keane was a good all-round player and a great captain. He's just also happened to be a lousy ex-player full of bitterness. The next comment after that was, don't mistake bitterness for passion. I agree on that. Look, I'm a very passionate person, and sometimes passion just goes straight through my body. So I get it with Roy Keane, but I think he is bitter about Bruno Fernandes. This Dino makes a great point here. Imagine Brian Robson slagging Roy Keane every week. Christ, it would have been
on that, Adam. And not to sort of disclose your age sort of thing, but tell me, because I can't remember in terms of that 90s period, obviously a different era in regards to social media, but media narrative in regards to whether it be the BBC or the club in-house media, was there anything from Sir Bobby Charlton, Sir Matt Busby?
No, never.
Sort of,
no.
There was
I think they commented how Bobby Charlton was always like supportive of them.
Yeah, but the difference between
because it's 24/7 now. It's 24/7 now too. I'll pull up my phone and I'll see Roy Keane 50 times.
Social media just blows everything apart. You know, you're not sitting here doing podcasts. I can go back and read programs all the way back to the 30s. I've got them in here. And not once do you ever say, well, they're definitely not going to have it in the programs, but I've got newspaper clippings. They're so polite and generous towards players. But
so what I'm thinking of there, Adam, let's say the class of 92.
The 90s, though.
The class of 92, we remember the quote is Alan Hansen. That's a Liverpool, Jamie Carragher sort of thing. I'm thinking, did Norman Whiteside have anything to say? Those sort of things.
Yeah. But you know what? The drinking culture back then covered everything, right? And the drinking culture through the 70s, the 80s, Fergie comes in 86, tries to sweep all that under the carpet. Fergie used to have all his feelers out in Manchester, trying to stop the young players from going out, but he always knew where they were, and he would always try and cover their ass as well. Nowadays, they're all locked behind doors. As soon as there's one thing wrong, mate, they're gone. Look what happens to Rashford, man. He goes out, he gets dressed up like a gangster, and he's in all sorts of shit. And he could be just watching the basketball. So, United's got a lot of older fans, and the older fans can't get past those days from the 70s, 80s, and 90s. Yet in the 70s and 80s, people forget George Best, man. Holy shit! He never in the early 70s. when it, 72, 73, if anyone's read any books on George Best in that time, he was turning up to training late every single session. By then, they had to kick him out of training. So he ends up moving to Fulham and stuff like that. So, mate, if social media, and I'm sure George would have got a bit, but still.
You look at, in regards to the narrative of today, you look at today, the week of the treble, Roy Keane was arrested.
Yeah. Paddy
Roy Keane
Crerand
was arrested the week of the treble.
Paddy Crerand. He after a European Cup game, he didn't like one of the players on the pitch because they said something to one of his teammates, lined him up in the toilets at a dinner and knocked him out. You know what I mean? Like, you've got so many stories like this. If you know United's history, they're unbelievable. Chris Griffin's here's got, look up Lee Sharp nightclub story. It's no different. Lee Sharp was one of the biggest troublemakers. Fergie walked in on Lee Sharp and Giggsy with a few chicks and they're all jumping out windows. So, like, you could go back.
What do we want, though, Adam? What do we want? Not so much, not in regards to this off-field behaviour, but let's talk about in regards to football evolving, whether you want to we'll look at on-pitch. We talk about, okay, football has to move on. Roy Keane, he can't sort of implement his game. You have to look to a new leader in terms of Bruno Fernandes is the new modern style. But we as Manchester United fans always look back at our history and what worked, what brought us success. Do we need a little bit of an element of what worked, or do we need to sort of really forget the past, but then you were sort of turning our back on our traditions and completely go in a new direction, go under the new direction like Ruben Amorim did? Well, hang on, that's not really working because that's not our past. I just think, what is the balance we need to find for Manchester United?
I think a lot of issues these days is the money the guys are paid. So there's got to be unlimited amount of professionalism, without a doubt, right? And that's what it comes down to today. The money that they get paid, it's got to be professionalism. Everything's got to be done professional. They can't be going out on the piss and everything like that. It's just not right. But it's just a shame that, if you look at the history of United, you're not going to have these stories anymore. But that's the sad part about it. But the game's moved on, and people don't, like we say, like Alex was saying, I think the whole story around Roy Keane has been quoted on a misquote, and for me, I enjoy all the stories and I don't mind seeing a player get out and enjoying himself and things like that. But you look at what's his name? He goes out on the drink all the time still. He was playing, what's his name? He went back to Villa and played. Grealish, yeah. Like Grealish and that.
Loves it.
He loves it. But if he was a United player, man, fucking without seeing that, he'd be gone.
Do you think with this noise, and again, I hate bringing him up, but he goes into, unfortunately, in my opinion, the category of Gary Neville and Roy Keane because they're business partners now, but Mark Goldbridge, and he'll be very sort of pro Bruno Fernandes in regards to this debate. Now, he's going to be on the overlap soon, probably throughout the World Cup period. He'll be on there. And I'm just thinking, do you think we all agreed at the start Roy Keane's not going to apologise? Do you think maybe there is an element Sky Sports will address it? Because, as I said, it's not a difference of opinion. It's a false quote. And I just think, do you think there is maybe a situation where we do see in a week's time Roy Keane say, hang on, I got that wrong. Even if it's not sort of honest, if he puts his hand up.
I think he will, to be fair.
Never apologized,
he won't say sorry.
For anything.
Yeah.
I don't think he'll say sorry. He'll go around the circle, saying it. Yes, I may have said that wrong, but we move on. I don't think anything else I said was wrong. So he'll bring it back around to in his favour. That's for sure. Guaranteed.
As well, like I guess one thing, like the news this week is not that. All right, whatever. Bruno got a record, fantastic. Great record. I don't care. Look at the people he's up there with, Henry and De Bruyne. That's legends. I'm happy he's among them. But forget the record. Like United had an amazing 4 or 5 months under Carrick. We are third. We're back in the Champions League. We're hopefully gearing up to sign some players and finally just start building towards something. And yet we're talking about our ex-player just being his usual bitter old self. Like that just, I guess that's the one other thing is it just gets annoying because everything they say becomes a headline. Like remember the Paul Scholes quotes about Martinez being too short to handle Haaland, and that became a headline. And it's just like, I don't know, maybe for me, it's just annoying seeing my heroes from my childhood now in the headlines for just mouthing off and saying nonsense, especially now when we've had such a good week, such a positive result. The players are happy, they're smiling. Adam, you, myself, and Yoni were so happy on the stream, and we're talking about Roy Keane having a whinge over Bruno rather than just talking about how good the second half of the season's been, how good things can hopefully look going forward, and how good the players played, how happy they were. Like, this is the first time I can think of where, since Sir Alex Ferguson retired, where the players are just happy to be there. They like each other. And I'm not like, I mean, you were talking about, Tom, you mentioned like the relationship that, you know, fans have with players, and there's like that really can be like a bit of a toxic relationship. This is the first time like looking at a United 11, and I look at him with like a lot of, first time since 2013, where I'm looking at him with adoration and like love and like a weird sort of parasocial friendship. I'm finally got that feeling back of like, yes, I'm so excited to watch United play. I'm so happy.
But it's that winning feeling, isn't it? It's that winning feeling. If we go on a streak and lose another 10, you'll be blowing chunks.
100%. 100%. But we're not. So I want to enjoy it. I want to enjoy this United playing well, not Roy Keane getting his knickers in a twist over Bruno Fernandes.
Yeah, I've got a few more little quotes in here. So I would love the club to do a Trump and ban Sky from interviews next season. Dino,
my AFL club did that. My AFL club banned a former player who's now a media commentator. My AFL club North Melbourne, they banned Kane Corns is like a really outspoken. He's like an outspoken former player. They literally banned him from the rooms. So like. Yeah, there's a precedent in professional sports to just say no.
Fergie started doing it for a while there. Fergie started.
Was it BBC he banned?
He did everyone.
Yeah, I think he did it to everyone. He blew up Deluxe. It was unbelievable. Chris again. Don't bring up Goldbridge, the sellout. He caused so many issues with his flamboyant remarks, mate. He's straight after Keno's what do you call it? Quotes. He started bringing it. I agree with him. KFC Chan, guys, do you think if we put Prime Keane into a current squad over the last 3 to 5 years, will Keane win any trophies? They probably win a cup, but I don't think you win in the Premier League. It comes down to goal scoring at the end of the day. It comes down to goal scoring.
When we discuss, and Nick was discussing earlier in regards to, I think when we look at Roy Keane, the feeling as him as a captain, would that captain work? Would that mentality, would it work in the modern game? At the end of the day, he's probably one of the most disrespected footballers. As a footballer, he was unbelievable. He's a great player. So he would, football-wise, be in this team. Again, would it drive Manchester United to a title? Maybe not. But he would be the first name in the Manchester United team. So would that, his mindset and would his behaviour suit these kind of players? Maybe not. So maybe he'd be a detriment to the team. But I do think we sort of overlook sometimes with a Roy Keane, we never actually really look at the footballer, or with David Beckham, we don't really look at the footballer. There's all this baggage around these sort of certain characters. And it would be a decent midfield. I think Roy Keane, Kobe Mainoo, Bruno Fernandes. I think if you had that as a midfield three, you'd look all right.
Yeah. I'll get to this last one and we'll... I guess they are just in it for the money because slacking Manchester United sells papers and social media. 100%. Look, we're going to wind it up there. We've got something special in here as well. I've got to wish Dino a happy birthday today as well. But we've also got Dino's birthday. We better mention it. I'm going to put this up, and I want to congratulate Juan Mata wins the Johnny Warren medal. Tom sent it through before. Congratulations to Juan. Last year, he couldn't find 5 minutes in the Wanderers team. This year goes to Melbourne Victory, wins the Johnny Warren medal. Congratulations to him. Big ups to Juan. He's doing all the commentary with over in the World Cup, and hopefully we're hoping he's back next season. That way Tom and I can go and watch him again and enjoy our time. With Juan, we've had a great time with him. Absolute gentleman of the game, and so happy for him to win the Johnny Warren medal. He'd be loving that. Did he accept it, Tom? I don't know. Or is he already overseas?
No, he was in the studio. I was watching it. It's obviously only happened half an hour ago, so I haven't seen the footage, but he was in the studio when it happened. So obviously still in Australia. I don't know when it was filmed, to be fair. So maybe it was filmed a couple of days ago. I'm not sure. But just from a Manchester United aspect, I think maybe someone will have the evidence in front of me. But from a Manchester United player to leave, now the A-League is not a top-tier European league, but I can't imagine maybe Scott McTominay would be the obvious choice right in front of my face. But how many players leave Manchester United and go on to win a Player of the Season for a league in another country? I think it'd be quite a rare. Obviously, Scott McTominay did do it last year, didn't he? But one matter add to that list. So yeah, another little positivity around Manchester United.
Definitely. Hopefully Roy Keane doesn't have a problem with one matter getting assist of the season as well. So anyway, boys, thank you for coming on. We've got Brighton. I think it's Monday morning here, 1 a.m. Shit time. But we will do a end of. Oh yeah, Dino. Thank you for the reminder. Congratulations to Victor. Won the Europa League this morning.
Yes.
Couldn't stay fit at United, but stayed fit for them.
Dino, in that sense, please congratulate Jadon Sancho as well. He's still a player.
Get off, Nick.
And happy birthday, Dino.
Yeah, so, all right, boys, thank you for coming on. Hope you enjoyed your time with this one. We've got Brighton Monday, but we will do a season review next week. We've also got Jordan. He's back from overseas and everything like that. So we're going to do maybe next Wednesday or something like that and have a look what items he's brought back, and we'll do a show on that as well. So he did spend a bit of money while he was over there. Bought himself a lot of jerseys and went and visited a fair few guys that I know and got some stuff. I have got a special item coming too. So thank you all. Thank you everyone in the chat. We had a lot. I think we got up to about 25 in the chat. The chat was going. Without you guys in the chat, the talk can slow down, but we had plenty to talk about tonight. And I tried to get to all of them, but I've got 3 screens going here and there's comments going everywhere. But I encourage everyone from the other screens to get to YouTube to make it easier. Again, thank you. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. I will be continue to put out reels. If anyone wants to do a reel, send it to me. I'll put it together for you, and it saves me doing some as well. So we'll talk to you later. See you later. Check, yes.